everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Take the Venus Project Challenge. If you're not familiar with my challenge, please review my introduction video for the challenge rules. I made it a point when putting together this challenge that I wouldn't waste any time addressing ignorant accusations of scam and conspiracy, because it's time-consuming enough just discussing the real issues of actual substance. However, to further put things into perspective, I couldn't help but address the ridiculous idea that the Venus Project, or the Zeitgeist movement, is a cult. Really, guys? Okay, let's look at the relevant definition of a cult, which is essentially a group characterized by great devotion or veneration of the same thing, person, ideal, etc. So hold that thought and consider this. In 2005, over 70 countries raised and donated $4.2 billion and volunteered in the relief efforts of Hurricane Katrina. The efforts even included countries that were otherwise considered hostile to the U.S. government. All those people were dedicated to the same thing, but no one objected to the Hurricane Katrina cult. When 17,500 people gathered for Michael Jackson's funeral, and millions of people around the globe watched in tears, all those people joined for the same person, but no one objects when we idolize celebrities. Then, when countless good Samaritans, including celebrities, got involved and donated millions of dollars to help Haiti, all those people joined together for the same endeavor. And I haven't seen any blogs against the Help Haiti cult. Yet, when an organization called the Venus Project gets together of their own free will to try and help humanity avoid future crises, like total economic calamity or a possible World War III, people come all out of the woodwork and object.
This is bullshit.
So, according to these examples, it seems to me that the only difference between people objecting and not objecting is whether we volunteer before the crisis or after the crisis. Well, I didn't know it was so rude and inconsiderate to try and do something about it beforehand. I guess it's only acceptable if we wait until after large numbers of people are dead. Why is it that as soon as a hurricane or earthquake hits, everyone wants to join flags and donate millions, but when millions of people are already suffering from hunger, curable disease and illness, unemployment, emotional and psychological stress, and God knows what else in every single country around the world, including our own, to most people that's just another day. Why is that just another day? Because it's not plastered all over the news? Well, if addressing our problems of global proportions is too overwhelming, excuse us for bringing it up. Didn't mean to get all in your way with our cult activities like thinking and sharing valuable information. But hey, don't give us all the attention. Apparently there's another cult with quite a few members whom, despite its proven flaws and growing inefficiencies, continue to worship this thing called money, as though it were completely infallible. You should try talking to those guys. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Well, the Venus Project isn't just some standard emergency response team. It's all telling people how to think and trying to change our values.
Another activist, McGuire.
Activist. Yes.
Well, one definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. So how are we supposed to get different results if we don't change the way we act? And how are we really supposed to change the way we act if we don't even blink an eye to stop and change the way we think? We can't solve a problem with the same kind of thinking that created it. So we need to work together and be proactive instead of always being reactive. You know, something like, gee everyone, we've got some serious issues in this world as it is, but based on our current trends and our tendency to repeat history, the future's not looking so bright either. Let's try reanalyzing our situation from a different perspective and coming up with lasting ways to resolve these problems and effectively prevent them from reoccurring or escalating in the future. What do you think? Instead of, oh my goodness, something bad happened. Here's money for the war on terror. Why is there still war and terrorism? Here's money for the starving people. Why are people still starving? Here's money for security and law enforcement. Why is there still so much crime? Because that doesn't work. It's just patchwork. It doesn't get rid of the problem. Let's take a look at why.
Our problems today are enormous and global in their scope and impact. They cannot be solved by any one nation. The concept of common good is global in nature but local in implementation. We must start with what we have in common. All social systems, regardless of political philosophy, religious beliefs, or social customs, ultimately depend upon natural resources like clean air and water, arable land, and the technology and personnel to maintain a high standard of living. This can be accomplished through the intelligent and humane application of science and technology using a global systems approach. When money and self-interest are outgrown, interaction between nations won't be based on self-interest but on mutual interests. This approach will help eliminate artificial boundaries that separate people. At present, people are not well enough informed to devise a relevant and workable social system
People are not well enough informed.
to devise a relevant and workable social system through rational methods. The Venus Project will not be installed by today's political leaders who are not appointed to change things but to keep things as they are. It is only through the failure of existing social institutions and political incompetence that people will seek other possible social alternatives. They are mainly motivated only by severe conditions that threaten their safety and existence.
Which is really insulting to our intelligence, but apparently, from the look of things, it's true.
No nation today is about to give up its sovereignty for a social arrangement that has never been tried. Therefore, it will take a social breakdown to stimulate the search for alternative social designs. This has been the case throughout human history.
Okay, that sounds like a bunch of lemmings. But as long as we idly watch the dollar shrink and eventually disappear before our very eyes without doing anything about it, that's pretty much what we are, lemmings. So in other words, let's not be so stubborn and sit around and wait for a complete economic collapse to start working on a solution. As a group, rather than relying on our governments, let's not sit around and wait for the next natural disaster to happen before acknowledging the fact that we already possess the technology and designs to better handle it. And let's not sit around and wait for the scarcity of our natural resources to become severe enough for a third world war, or even threaten our whole species before we really start focusing on these issues. We've already proven that when catastrophe strikes, even conflicting nations are willing to help each other. So why keep donating and writing each other checks back and forth, prolonging the suffering and starvation, when we can just combine our efforts in the first place and achieve our goals as a globe? We have the resources to do it. We have the technology to do it. But we're letting our pride get in the way. So now all we're missing is people. When we all join the cause, we can finally put people before pride. That concludes my third episode of Take the Venus Project Challenge. As always, welcoming your intelligent questions, comments, and feedback, if you follow the rules. You can also send an email to tvpchallenge@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Activists, yes.